Last time, on Powerless, they had another ball, and there was more banter and flirting. The ball randomly turned into a fight club, and Peyton had to fight Blair because girl hate. Even without powers, Peyton is just better than everyone, and she won the fight, and Blair lost, and we're supposed to laugh. Kai woke up on a mountain with some others. They were told to do teamwork now. Andy got bitten by a snake and started dying, I guess. Peyton was also put on the mountain with different people. They climbed for a while, some rocks fell on them, were walking. At the top of the mountain, the game turned into capture the flag, and we forgot about the teamwork thing. Kai happily murdered Ace. Well, he sent Peyton to go get the flag, so she won. Hooray, I guess.
Alright, so we are back with Peyton, chapter 45. We have kind of skipped time, and she apparently, in the time gap, has, again, we're not in a rush to do these trials. It's just everybody's just vibing. But in the time that has gone by, she has decided to go hang out underneath the willow tree in the garden. Like every night, when she has bad dreams, both of these characters supposedly have nightmares, but we're only just like told in passing that they have them. We don't actually ever see what they have bad dreams about. It's just to make us feel sorry for them more. But, oh no, Kai is also under the tree. Oh, damn. I don't understand why she would be having these thoughts. She's like, oh, he's convinced me to sit with him, even though ignoring my screaming thoughts that tell me to do otherwise. But we don't know what her thoughts are screaming or why she would hesitate to go sit with him at this point. What is stopping her? You are made for each other. You're both psychotic murderers. So she's like, why are you sitting under this tree? And he's like, oh, I come here all the time. And I'm like, okay, then why hasn't she encountered you if she's been coming to this tree for like every night for a week or whatever? So she asks him, do you want quiet company or talking company? And he says, only you would ask my preference on your company. And I'm like, wow, that is a low bar. Only Peyton in the whole wide world, no other girl or any other human would ever ask him whether he wants to be quiet or whether he wants to talk. Only Peyton. Of course he wants her to talk, because this, I have a sneaky suspicion, is just going to be another one of those supremely boring nothing chapters where all they do is just banter. We learn more about how tortured poor Kai was, all of the awful things his dad used to do to him. It's just giving Grimm 2.0, honestly. I hate the implication that children who are put through horrible things, it's fine that they will become evil. First of all, children who are put through horrible things don't become evil. He was horribly tortured, so of course he turned into a psychotic killer. Of course he doesn't mind doing murder. And it's okay. All of that's okay, because he was tortured as a child. You know, many children who are abused go on to decide that they never ever want to do that. And they make the choice that the abuse stops with them. Now, yes, it can continue and it can perpetuate. That is definitely something that can happen. But so many people who were abused intentionally choose, I'm never going to let that happen to anyone else ever again. And Kai is making the choice not to do that. Kai is making the choice to take the things that his father did to him and turn them into his desire to just like murder and kill people and torture is fun, actually. And that's not okay. I can't quite decide if the author still thinks that she's writing morally gray characters and not the morally reprehensible characters that she has in fact written.
So I was watching Reads with Rachel, one of her more recent book reviews, and she was talking about how she really cannot get into a book where there are not characters that seem like they could potentially be real people. She cannot get into a book where they're caricatures, where they're just like there to provide a scenario for the reader to just either imagine themselves in or just imagine in general. And the characters are acting in ways that real human beings would not act because they're there to provide a scenario for the reader. And And Rachel can't enjoy that type of book, and neither can I. I just cannot. But I think that this is that type of book where the author chose scenarios and chose tropes and just has characters as pawns, as like Barbie dolls to move around and put into those situations and do those tropes for her, instead of any attempt to make them real people who act in realistic ways. Even Kai and his trauma is just a trope. He's the poor, tortured bad boy who has to kill people, but the author doesn't understand that if you want to do a good job with that, you actually have to put thought into the psychology of these characters, and she does not, because all she cares about is scenarios and moving those characters like dolls into those scenarios. Now, if you really like that kind of book, I guess good for you, but that's not the kind of book that I like at all. I have to believe that the characters are real people that would conceivably do the things that they do, instead of just being puppets that you move around into different scenarios so you, the reader, can get like the barest dopamine hit because, ooh, I read the words that make me feel happy. Yeah, I'm in a bit of a salty mood today, can you tell?
People aren't born strong, they're made that way, and the prince and I know that better than most. You weren't made strong, you were made psychotic, especially him, and now also you. He challenges her to a thumb war. And this is where we are as readers in this book. We are so bankrupt for things for these characters to do that they are sitting under a tree having a thumb war. This is riveting. We get to watch one character explain to another character how to do a thumb war. I'm never going to feel bad about my writing ever again. I just have to remember that this book is hugely popular. They're talking about fruit now. By the way, they moved on from the thumb war to a riveting conversation about their favorite and least favorite fruit. We have another he hums. Anytime she does anything even like vaguely determined, he is like, I forgot what a vicious little creature you are. Like he calls her a vicious little creature for winning a thumb war. That's it. They just flirt under a tree. So glad I read it. I'm gonna keep going. This book makes it so hard for me to want to be able to sit down and read multiple chapters in a day. I keep being like, it's going to be fine. It's going to be great. I'm going to read a whole bunch of chapters. I'm going to plow through this book. And then those chapters are just absolute nothing. And I regret all of my life choices and wonder why I'm here. I'll see you for the next one, I guess. We are back, chapter 46 with Peyton. It says, I clamp my hands over my ears, shielding them from the loud squealing. But what is squealing? Who is squealing? Reading onward, it seems like it's implying that Adina and Ellie are squealing. Maybe because they're excited about a new dress that Adina just made, because Adina exists to make pretty dresses for Peyton, and that's the only reason that she's here. Okay, what do you think? Adina is beaming, gesturing wildly to the partially made dress draped across my bed. Wow, Ellie breathes, leaning over my shoulder to get a better look at it. She trails off, her eyes trail over the fabric. None of that implies to me that they were the ones making the squealing. So where was the squealing coming from and who was making it? Also, every time that Peyton gets a new dress, she says that this time Adina has outdone herself. She outdoes herself with every new dress that she makes for Peyton. Apparently, she has spent time every day with Kit off page. It's important that we see her flirt underneath a tree with Kai, but it's fine that we don't get very many scenes with her and Kit where she's trying to convince Kit to show her the secret tunnel. He has not done it yet. But oh hey, it's Kit knocking at her door. He wants to chat with her, I guess. Everybody is smiling so much in just like a single paragraph. Definitely smiling, grinning, any variation thereof are definitely some of this author's crutch words. Also, we are repeating words left, right, and center. It's so bad. Like, every now and then, it'll kind of wane a little bit, and then we'll get right back to it, which is all the repeated words. His sudden proximity and the sudden scent of spices that washes over me. Conveniently, though, oh, thank goodness, Kit has come here to be like, you know how you always want to take me out to visit Loot? Well, now I'm ready. You convinced me off page. I'm ready.
You're kidding. What a crazy random happenstance.
So apparently the passage involves going down to the dungeons, because that's where they go. Apparently the secret tunnel is in one of the cells. Which, I mean, if you'd never use that prison cell, that's fine. But, like, what if you put a prisoner in there and he just happens upon the secret passage? Oops. Oh no, he's escaped, or he's just, like, loose in the castle somewhere. That tracks for this king, though. His skills with, like, planning anything do not exist. So, honestly, on brand. Oh, I guess the secret passage also needs a key. So even if they found the secret rock that you have to, like, touch to open, like, the doorway, you also need a key. So, like, why is it in a cell? Also, what if the prisoner is really good at lockpicking? She opened a lock with just a knife earlier. He keeps his keys on an old-fashioned key ring, which he then puts in his pocket. She worries for a split second that she doesn't know her way around the tunnels, that she worries that there's a lot of them. And Kit mentions that some of them have been, like, blocked off over the years. And she's like, oh no, what if the one that leads to the secret entrance to the, like, weird room underneath where the king will be sitting, what if that one was blocked off? And then Kit conveniently, just out of nowhere, is like, and that one leads exactly where you want to go. And she's like, oh good, thank you. Oh, we're gonna have horses again. So they do come out using the weird little room underneath the king's box and, like, the bowl. It's so impossible for me to take the name of their arena seriously when it's called the bowl. Anyway, the arena is in the city. So they're like, okay, we're out here now. But she's like, how are we going to, like, get away from the arena? And he's like, don't worry. I know where the horses graze during the day. So I have so many questions about that. Like, they have pasture grazing in this city that is right up against a desert, but okay, I guess. So we're gonna get more horses. They just walk to this pasture, which she calls a clearing. This author could not have made it more abundantly clear that she knows absolutely zero things about animal husbandry and has just as much interest as that in finding out. But immediately upon their entering the clearing, a beautiful white horse runs up to them. She says that they don't have a saddle, or a bridle for that matter. I don't know if this author understands that you need one of those, honestly. You don't need one of those, but it does take a while to train a horse to do what you want bridleless. But apparently Kit's had time for that. Maybe Kit's father had secretly been teaching him how to do this over the years. Anyway, so he helps her up onto the horse. Okay. And then it says, before gracefully mounting himself. I love how the author just glosses over how the fuck Kit got onto the horse. So we time skip them riding off to loot together because the author would have to describe horse movement and she has no fucking idea. I don't think she's ever seen a horse in real life. I would bet money that she has only seen horses on TV and it was against her will. So they rode a horse, bareback and bridleless, into town. Don't know what he did with the horse. They just rode it here as though it is a car, and presumably they parked it in one of the horse parking spots that probably exist. Also, she waited to get him an outfit until they were in town. I thought that we had just skipped over her disguising him because that wasn't important to watch, but no, she waited until she and the crown prince were in town, and she stole him an outfit to wear. So Kai is, of course, taken aback by just the poverty that he sees in the city. He sees a bunch of people in, like, makeshift tents, like a little homeless community. And he sees children wandering around, begging or looking to steal. And he's, like, horrified. And that makes me wonder, is there any infrastructure in this city whatsoever for orphaned children? Even if it's bad, even if it's, like, workhouses. Is there anything here? Or is it literally just parentless children can wander around and live or die, no one cares? Kit doesn't have any questions about that. That's just my question. She takes him to see her old quote-unquote fort, which is still there, and I guess nobody else has taken it over. It's just exactly where and how she left it. And then that's just over. We get a very short chapter of her taking Kit out to see the city and witness what his people are going through. He has really no questions. She shows him her old home, And he's like, thank you for showing me this. So that's how much that matters to any of this. But she got what she wanted. She now knows where the secret tunnel is.
Secret, 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 secret tunnel, yeah!
Hurrah, I guess. I mean, at least something happened in that chapter. Actually, the next one's really short, so I'm just going to read that one too. We're still with Hayden, chapter 47. We've skipped forward in time, some unknown amount of time, but it is night. She's meeting with Lenny.
Did you hear something?
No.
Did I?
I don't know.
We have head hopping. This has happened a few times, and I've kind of been able to forgive it, but this is definitely head hopping. He suppresses the urge to shove me back. How does she know that he suppressed the urge? Like, unless she is in his head, she would not know a suppressed urge. That's the kind of, like, harder to catch head hopping that, like, some people will fight me on and be like, oh, well, it's not really head hopping, but it is. It's annoying, but it is. You have to show us how she would know that he was suppressing the urge. You can't just tell us that he is, because how would she know that? She's not actually a psychic. I don't know if you realize this, but she's not. They're back at her old house for another rebel meeting. Also, I don't think I understand why the king killed her father. Like, she has all this trauma because the king, personally, himself, killed her dad. But do we know why? Like, he was a rebel leader, and maybe that was why. But it feels kind of unclear to me, ultimately, why the king came and personally killed her father. She just basically immediately tells them that she found the tunnel and, like, where it is. So she's like, Peyton is like, but there's a problem. We can't get into the tunnel because Kit has the key. Even though, couldn't you get into the tunnel from the outside now that you know, like, anyway, she's like, oh, however will we get the key? How will I, a master pickpocket, obtain a key that I saw him put in his pocket and he told me he is always carrying? What a dilemma. Gosh, oh my goodness, how are we going to solve this one? Fortunately, Peyton does immediately go, oh yeah, that's actually not a problem. I probably shouldn't have even brought it up. I can just get the key from him. Like, yep. I don't know why you brought it up as a problem either. So they have one more big party to go to because we have to cram as much Pretty Princess dress up into one book as possible. I feel like if you are writing any type of book, one fancy ball is enough. Fancy balls. Like, maybe you can fit in a couple if you're writing something like Pride and Prejudice. But if you're writing something that's supposed to have like a Hunger Games-esque style death game, one fancy ball is more than enough. But they're planning to do this heist during the fancy ball, where obviously Kit will have his keys on him even when he's at a party. And that's it. She banters a little bit with Lenny, because they also banter in the same way. Like, not as hornily as her and Kai banter, but they have the exact same, everybody has the exact same banter style. Anyway, that's it for that chapter. She has, like, zero guilt. I thought that maybe she would feel a little bit of guilt for finally having conned Kai into getting her people in. Like, what if they endanger Kai? Like, she's very trusting of this rebel group, having known them for like 10 minutes. Yeah, she's no guilt, no concerns, no thoughts, head empty. We gotta get to the ball, the next party, everybody. Oh my god. I can't wait. And we're back. I have emotional support chocolate, and boy do I need it as I suffer my way through this book. Every one of these books that I read for these read-alongs is uniquely awful in its own way. Oh, we're back with Kai. What joy. Chapter 48. I think we're finally getting a dream, but it starts with screams. Terrible, tortured screams bounce around in my skull. Echo in my mind. It's her. The only reason he would think screams are terrible is if they are Peyton screams specifically. The rest of the time he would be enjoying them. He's just having a dream that she's, like, been stabbed with her own dagger. Oh, how metaphorical. And, like, it's just going on and on. It's so repetitive, too. I wonder how many times blood is used in this single scene. Kneeling in a pool of blood. Her blood, a little bit further down. More sobs, more blood. A couple more sentences down. It's covered in blood. Blood so sticky, it's clinging to my hands. Like, okay, we get it. There's blood. There's a lot of blood. blood is happening. Should I give her main characters the special right here, right now? Peyton is too strong, too stubborn, and too special. She can't die. That is true. It's like he has meta-knowledge of this book. Why is he dreaming about her stabbing herself? Like, why would that be his nightmare, that she's stabbing herself? Not like him stabbing her, or one of the villains, like his father stabbing her. Her stabbing herself is his dream. Yeah, he just has a bad dream about Peyton stabbing herself, and he gets briefly distracted by like the ghosts of all of his victims, which he's like, I know each and every one of them. I remember their faces, and I'm like, you do not. You do not. You don't give a fuck about any of these people, and certainly he doesn't, but he was distracted enough in his dream that Peyton stabs herself, and then he's like, oh no, the one and only person I actually care about, no! And then the chapter ends, and I'm just going to go on to chapter 49 with Peyton, because that one was short. I don't know why we needed that dream. So Peyton hears him, like, yelling in his sleep, so she can go comfort him, and this makes me sad, because I was planning on including a like bad dream hurt comfort scene in my upcoming book, and this is gonna make me hate that idea. I'm probably still gonna do it because my version will be good and it won't just be about the guy dreaming that the girl stabs herself for some reason. Why do you have to ruin everything, Powerless? Of course, the only reason that she would ever hear him like in distress is because it's a dream, so not a real thing happening, and be about her. So obviously the only way to wake him up is to straddle him and shake him. And then he bursts awake and he flips them over. So now he's straddling her because even bad dream scenes have to be sexy.
Oh my.
Did say that every muscle in his body was taut earlier, and I assume... We also have another dagger pressed against the throat scene. This author heard that it was sexy and she's going to do it as many times as possible. So he has a dagger. These people just sleep with daggers and never cut themselves. Cool air coats my neck as he pulls the dagger away. I had to read that 3 times. Was the dagger blocking air getting to your neck? That is such an odd way to make it clear that he has moved the dagger. He ducks his head. I don't know how he's doing that, but okay. And now that everything has calmed down, they're back to bantering and being horny for each other. Why does he think that? So they're having a moment where she's going to get up and leave, but then he asks her to stay, and it's all romantical. And then she looks at him, and she says he expects everyone to leave him. Who has left him? Both his parents are still alive. His brother is still alive. Even the brother who was almost killed in the games is still alive. His, like, adoptive brother. Who has left him to give him this idea that everyone's going to leave him? Like, I get that you can still be paranoid about that, even if no one has left you, but, like, usually there's some, like, justification behind it. Even if maybe he's had other girlfriends before who have found out that he's a murderous psychopath and left him because of that, which is a perfectly reasonable thing to do, but maybe it would leave him feeling, I don't know, sad. If he can feel sadness, I'm not convinced. Of course she stays, though, because there was never any doubt in any of our minds that she wasn't going to stay. His chest brushes against my back in question. Not what? His chest brushes against my back in question, silently asking if I want him closer or farther. What does his chest brushes against my back in question mean? Like, just those words together don't make any actual sense. The rest of the sentence makes it clear what's happening, but that first part it's not English. And they're spooning now. We're walking. She doesn't bother to ask, hey, what was your horrifying dream? By the way, she also sleeps in a tank top. She walks around during the day in a tank top. She sleeps in a tank top. This girl is 24/7 tank tops and also sexy dresses. That's it. End of her clothing choices. It's all very, very, like, adorably, sickeningly cute. And if it was any other characters and we didn't have 8 million chapters worth of this kind of thing, maybe I would like it. If it was two characters that I actually liked, and we hadn't already had so many useless chapters of them being together, I might like this. She falls asleep with him just like braiding her hair. Kind of adorable, if it was different people. She says, I drift off to the feel of Kai braiding my hair, vaguely wondering if I should be afraid of how safe I feel with him, if I should be worried that I feel content and comforted in his arms. Yes, you should. He is a murderous psychopath. And if you think of this as a horror book, oh, it's a very scary scene, actually. And I think that's where I'm going to stop for today. I have made it to page 400 and chapter 50, where we're back with Kai. And that is enough torture for me today, friends. I might go write my own book, though. I might go work on that, because there's nothing like a bad book to make me feel like I want to make my own book better. So, thank you for joining me. I'll see ya when I see ya. Hello, hello. We are making good time through this bad boy. I can see the end. The end is in sight. We are only 100 pages from the end. I'm not going to try and do, like, one time I tried to do one of these with only 100 pages left as my one where I put on the whole cosplay and everything for the last 100 pages, and that was too many pages. Lesson learned. So I don't know when I'm going to do my cosplay, but I have ideas, I have thoughts, I have it planned, I have purchased a wig, so it's coming. But until then, we're on chapter 50. So many chapters in this book, and so many of them don't need to be here, but we're on chapter 50 with Kai. I'm also asking my tablet, which I'm now recording my audio on instead of my old phone, to do two things at once, so we'll see if that causes another different audio error, because the tablet's been doing well. It hasn't had any errors yet, but I have only asked it to do one thing at a time so far. Hello, Nigel, buddy. He hears me doing my filming voice, and he's like, you need my assistance. I forget what they were doing. Oh, sleeping. Oh, yeah. Gotta have that. Had to have that bad dream scene, which, again, I don't have a problem with, like, most of these tropes, like, individually. In fact, I'm planning to use a bad dream scene in one of my upcoming books. But, like, the way that this author is doing it is, again, just so without finesse. It is just, here's the scenes that I know you like. I'm just gonna put them in the book. Whether they need to be here, they don't. Or not. So do not stop. Do not hit my tablet with your face and stop my recording. Okay, bud? I need you to not do that. No, I know you really want to rub your face on it, and you need to not to. You need not to. By the way, I have not been mentioning all of the times that he talks about her eye color. She has ocean blue eyes. That is the one and only description that he can come up with. Because, like, once you pick a descriptor of a color, you're not allowed to describe it any other way. So, like, if I said my eyes are sky blue, you can then never say that they are a different type of blue, because you said it was sky blue. And also, it is Imogen's hair color levels of every time that we have her eyes. He's looking at her eyes in a scene. They are her ocean blue eyes, her ocean eyes. Ocean, 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 blue, 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 blue. Just so repetitive. We do not need to keep hearing that detail about a character. Even if another character's favorite feature are her ocean blue eyes, you need to rein that in. You need to make it special instead of just making it a thing that every time we see her eyes. Of course, he is laying there watching her sleep. It's morning now, and he's laying there just admiring her. Sighing, my fingers run through one last strand of silver hair. His fingers are sighing? It's not sighing, I run my fingers through one last strand of her hair. And also one last strand of her hair. Your fingers are going through the strand of her hair. Anyway, this sentence is a mess and needed to be caught by an editor because it doesn't make any sense. We keep getting clothing described as thin, and, like, I'm really not sure what that means. Like, how thin is this fabric? They're supposed to be royals. Wouldn't he have higher quality fabric? Wouldn't it be not thin fabric? But it has to be thin so that, like, if it gets slightly wet, we can definitely see all of his body through it. Of course, he had to be having a nightmare specifically about losing her. He couldn't be having a nightmare about anything else character building, like his trauma with his father or anything like that. Even though we have a really good handle on that, we didn't need that. But, like, a nightmare sequence can be a great opportunity to show what a character is, like, really, really struggling with. And give the other character an opportunity to help them with it. Because, oh, that character who's so closed off finally has to admit what's going on. That's what nightmare sequences are great for. I love them. Obviously, you want to use them really sparingly, like once per book or so. But, like, this one, completely wasted. Because what was he having a nightmare about? Her. Who came to solve his problem? Her. Like, we learned nothing. We made no progress. Oh, man, this is so toxic. Oh, something I wanted to talk about. Because I've been talking over and over again about how just irredeemable Kai is as a character, and him not even showing any interest in being redeemable. It's just that he's nice to the girl, and so that makes him a good person, I think, unless the author really does want him to be a bad person. It's difficult for me to tell because she writes him into a book where it seems like he's supposed to be a good person and writes him as though we're supposed to find him to be a good person. Like, nobody ever challenges him on his, like, evil ways. Like, I think legitimately we're supposed to, like, feel sorry for Kai and the position that he's in and the fact that he's been, like, molded into a killer and has apparently just never considered having a free thought of his own for once in his life. And that's supposed to be, like, endearing, I think. Like, that's the tone and the vibe I'm getting from this book. Because I was thinking about, like, there are a lot of books, a lot of, you know, romance books out there that are, like, quote-unquote dark romance, where the male love interest is completely irredeemable. So many. And I don't read them myself, but I have watched other YouTubers talk about them. And if that's your jam, like, yeah, it's funny to make fun of them. No offense. But if that's your jam, like, read what you want, especially... most importantly, if you're an adult person who, you know, his brain is finished growing. So, like, if you want to read those stories with those, you know, very bad biker dudes who kill people, even in those stories, it seems like, though, the author is still trying to, like, make them a little bit more redeemable than Kai. Like, it will turn out that maybe they don't actually kill people, or maybe they actually only kill, like, people who are already trying to kill them, or, you know, child traffickers or whatever. It's, like, a little bit more effort is made than is being made with Kai, because, like, the only thing he does is, like, spare children, but he doesn't really. He didn't actually spare that little girl. He sent her and her family out into a desert with no supplies except a dagger, with no special clothing to withstand the desert. So he had to know that that child and her family are going to suffer and then die. And maybe one or two of them might make it across the desert. He had to know. So it's not even like he has that, oh, I spare children thing. He didn't say, okay, now listen up, kid. I need to make it look like I'm killing you, but actually I'm gonna, like, get you some supplies and get your family out of here. No, he didn't do that. He just set them out into the desert. This doesn't read like one of those books, though. This doesn't read like it's meant to be one of those stories where the fantasy is that the guy is pretty irredeemable. He just is, and no one questions it, not even the female lead. She's not even like, yeah, he kills people, but he's sexy. She doesn't really ever acknowledge that he kills people. Like, she does when he does it in front of her, but she's always like, but it was to save me. And it's like, yeah, but there's a lot of times, so many times, that he kills people when it's not to save you. Like, maybe have a single thought about that. Like, I don't know, I feel like those quote-unquote dark romances where the love interest is extremely irredeemable, like, do a better job than this. How are you supposed to like this guy? I don't understand. Him sitting there and admiring her while she sleeps and vowing that he would, like, burn the world. I know it's the I would burn the world for her trope, which I hate, by the way. I hate that trope. Because that's basically saying, fuck everyone. Fuck puppies and kittens. Fuck good people out there doing their best for the world. Because I've got my girl. Like, no, not for me, not for me. Do not like that trope. I mean, I get why some people like it. You want to be the center of someone's world. You want to be the one thing that they would burn down the world for, but not for me. So I get the trope, but, like, also, couldn't he be I'll burn the world for her without being an unrepentant, essentially Nazi? He went to go get her some food from the kitchen. What did he bring? Hot food. We're trying to have a quirky little, oh, aren't they so adorable moment where he goes back with the food, and when he opens his door, she yeets a shoe at him because, like, oh, she's so, like, so vicious that she would wake up in his room and just start throwing shoes at somebody who comes through the door, even though it is extremely likely to be him. Like, I don't know who else she thinks it's going to be, and if it's somebody bad, why she thinks she would deter them with a shoe. Okay, he brought her juice and biscuits. Those are two things that we have that he definitely brought. And once again, it's just banter, the same banter that we have already seen 1,000 times. If you find yourself repeating yourself in your book, unless it is super, super important information that you need your reader to understand and you're worried that there's a chance they might have forgotten it, don't repeat yourself. Like, let your reader get it. You need like maximum 2 scenes like this of banter before the reader understands what their relationship is. You can have them bantering in other instances, but this is constant scene after scene after scene of the exact same thing. Well, apparently she wore shorts to bed. I mean, I shouldn't be surprised. Everything is just modern clothing, and apparently people in this world wear shorts. I'm assuming they're little booty shorts, little short shorts. I'm skimming because this is just so much nothing. So much more nothing. There's been a lot of nothing in this book, and this is just more. This author also insists on just like drawing this out and drawing this out forever and ever. It seemed like this might be an opportunity for them to finally have their sex scene. Presumably they will have one. We're running out of book. But so it seems like they're going to finally go for it, or at least do some heavy petting. And once again, one of the characters, this time it's Peyton, is like, we cannot. I must away. And it's like, who is this book for? Who at this point, who is loving this book and wants to see these two together, when we are less than 100 pages from the end, is going to be like, oh great, I'm thrilled that they are still not getting together. So we skip ahead to the next Pretty Princess dress-up ball. I'm certain we'll find out what Peyton is wearing, but we're still in Kai's point of view, and he's just sitting there being a sulk because, oh, she's dancing with another man, or she's going to be. I traded Blair off to a young gentleman for a glass of wine. So he traded his date literally like an object. Like, here's a girl, give me a glass of wine. Also, all of the ladies continued to wear green so that Peyton can continue to not wear green and stand out. Like, after the first one, when Peyton showed up in silver and everybody was all impressed, one would think that the other girls would start to be like, maybe we should wear other colors too, and then they would try new things. But no, everybody's still wearing green, everybody's locked into green, because Peyton has to remain the most special one who doesn't wear green. Peyton is here, she's wearing black, although the way the dress is described, it reminds me very much of the dress from Anastasia. I feel strongly that that's what it's based on, but it's black instead of purple. Although it also, now that he's continuing to describe it, it also does seem like it might be kind of based off of a wedding dress. But black, like, I'm struggling with this dress because they keep telling us that there are voluminous skirts, but also it's like hugging every inch of her body. And I don't know how you do both of those things at the same time. But don't worry, whatever this dress fucking looks like, there is a slit up the side where you can see her dagger strapped to her thigh. And of course, because Peyton is the only one who thought to wear a different color, and she looks just so unbelievably gorgeous, everyone stops to stare at her as she comes down the steps. He spends some time at the end of this chapter just devolving into bad poetry about how beautiful she is, in his own head, of course. How beautiful she is, how, amazing and stunning she is. But oh no, that's right, she's not here for him, she's here for Kit. And his final thought, just because beasts don't get the beauty. First of all, Beauty and the Beast is apparently a fable that exists in their world. And second of all, what is that line? Just put that right in there. That's fine. Put that right in there. It very much reminds me of one of the cringiest lines from that book, We Were Villains, which I think was the same thing. It was like, this time Beauty slays the beast or some bullshit like that. Or this time the princess kills the dragon. Some bullshit like that. And it's not as clever as you think it is. In fact, it is not clever at all. It just makes your romantic lead really cringe. I'm going to stop here. I'm going to make sure that the tablet is doing okay and probably read another chapter. Did you miss me? Probably not. I don't know. Maybe you did. Maybe there's a whole week in between these, but let's go. We're with Peyton, 51. Pretty Princess dress-up ball scene. We do not care at this point that they're supposed to be like the purging trials happening. We don't even care really that much about the rebellion plot. We just really, really want this love triangle kind of to keep going forever. This is like when you read one of those endless fan fictions that just shows no sign of stopping. She is, however, dancing with Kit, and as you recall, her mission while dancing with Kit is to steal his keys, which he keeps on him all the time, even at a party. He has his keys on him. I will say, even though this is a plot point for a part of the plot that is very, very small and is barely there, at least the character is using a previously established skill to accomplish a goal. Like, that is a low, low bar, but in this book, I'll take anything I can get as, like, something that the author is doing right. Peyton is thieving. Peyton thieves. It's what she does, at least sometimes. And then Lenny appears. Lenny, who is apparently just, like, always watching. The second that Kit goes to get them refreshments, Lenny, like, sweeps in to be like, aha, I saw you steal the key. And also, like, he asked for a dance, and even though he is totally, like, a guard, a servant, essentially, are they allowed to dance? Are guards just allowed to go up to people and ask for dances? So after she does the exchange with the keys, she goes back to the dancey dance, and oh, coincidentally, it's a dance that involves a lot of trading partners. And oh, golly gosh, whose arms do you think she gets traded into? She decides, as they're dancing, we have a lengthy description of her just, like, lusting after him, but as they're dancing, she briefly goes, oh, we can't be together because I am a poor kid, and also an ordinary, which she has barely thought about at all. The fact that she doesn't have powers does not matter in this story, and I feel like that might be on the bingo card, but I can't get to it right now. But she's decided now to be like, we can't be together because we're, like, too different. We're like Romeo and Juliet. She doesn't say that, but it's implied. That's what this is. The star-crossed lovers. They can't be together because she is a poor kid from the wrong side of the tracks, and he is a prince and a murderer who kills people like her. She doesn't think about the killing, though. She just is like, I'm everything he's been taught to hate. And I'm like, you're everything that he's been taught to thoughtlessly slaughter. I don't know, maybe that should concern you more. But of course, all it takes is him smiling handsomely at her, and she's like, oh, never mind. Yeah. Okay, I don't know whether to be, like, annoyed or almost like, all right, I'll allow it because it's so stupid. She thinks, I'm hot and cold, yes and no, right and wrong.
You're hot, then you're cold, you're yes, then you're no.
I have a sneaky suspicion that that song is one that is on the playlist for this book, or at least this character. Possibly it came on during this scene when the author was writing it. And, like, most of me goes, wow, that's dumb. And just a tiny little bit of me is like, that's so stupid. It kind of comes right around back to being fun. Just, like, the teeniest, tiniest part of me, though. The rest of me, no. That's a no from me. In a different book, I might be more permissive of the silliness getting in here. But in this one, I'm like, oh, you've already done so many cringy things. This, too. His eyes crash into mine. Again, that just makes me think that they, like, headbutt each other, but, like, eyeballs first, if that's possible. This chapter mostly exists for the characters to think long paragraphs about each other. This and the previous chapter, or the end of the previous chapter. Just paragraphs of thinking about the other character, things that we already know they think about the other character. He's so handsome, but he's so bad for me, but, like, in about a million more words. Like, he's so handsome, but he's so bad for me, but make it an essay. Okay, I would like to clock that this is the first ever time that she has thought this in more than one sentence. He doesn't know who I truly am or what I truly am. And if he did, he would kill me because that's what the enforcer would do. Because that's what the king's son would do. Because that is what he has been created to do. This is the very first time that she has actually thought this with any kind of detail. Look how much book we have left. We are less than 100 pages from the end, and she has not considered this until this exact moment. This should have been the entire conflict of their relationship. Her knowing that if this man knew who she was, he would kill her, and people like her. But no, it's not. It's not the conflict of this relationship. She's just too quirky for him. She's just like, oh, well, he's just annoying. I'm not attracted to him. He's just annoying. He's just annoyingly hot and annoyingly attractive. Not, this man will kill me. I cannot get too close to him. So all of a sudden, she feels very claustrophobic in the ballroom. And not for any not for any sensory detailed reasons. Like, we don't get what it feels like to be like crushing the bodies. Is it too warm? Is she struggling to breathe? Is it too loud? Like, the sound of a ballroom where people chattering can be very overstimulating, especially if it's like a high ceiling and there's a lot of echo. Like, there's a lot of reasons that she would be feeling claustrophobic, but instead she's just like, I just can't stand it to be here anymore among all these people. And so she's making her way painstakingly towards a balcony door, and then boom, the scene ends with somebody getting in her way. What a thrilling ending to a chapter that just drags me on, just makes me want to keep reading. That is sarcasm, by the way. Anyway, we'll get on to the next chapter, shall we? Yes, we shall. We are back for chapter 52, still with Peyton, and we can immediately solve the thrilling mystery of who stepped in front of her before she went out on the balcony. Oh god, it's one of those. Any other man who wants to talk to her is obviously lecherous, so he immediately hits her with a little lady, just so we know immediately that we're supposed to hate him. So I'm going to count this as love interest saves the main character from SA, even though this guy didn't get the chance, but he was going to try. Like, he grabbed her around the waist and was just using every creepy guy line in the creepy guy playbook. And then Kai shows up. Now, of course, Kai has to make it seem like for the reader's ego, because we all know that Peyton is basically like the wish fulfillment self-insert. Kai has to make it seem like Peyton was going to be fine without him, and he's just like here to assist, but he's saving her. He's showing up and looking scary. Here's our bingo board, by the way, if anyone wants to have a look-see at it. What we got so far, we are getting, I am pretty comfortable saying fat equals evil or no fat people. Once again, because there are no fat people. We did have one moment where it was implied that maybe Kai used to be a little pudgy when he was a kid, and that was mocked. So it might also kind of qualify as like fat equals evil, kind of, because like fatness is bad in this world. Clearly. What else can we give it? I mean, can there be an info dump if there's no info to dump? I mean, actually, yes. Because we got the whole rebellion plot, like, told to us randomly by some guy when she just went down to his basement. So, like, yeah, that was an info dump for sure. Magic and lore doesn't make sense. Gonna give it that, because, like, what the fuck is up with the plague and any of the history or lore of this world? Doesn't matter. All that matters is whatever it was, it made the king want to kill ordinary people. So the only things we are missing is the blurb lied, which I'm going to get to the end of the book, and then we'll look at the blurb again and see if we agree. Main character turns out to be the special. Still waiting on that. I'm certain that she's going to turn out to have a power. Maybe it won't happen until the next book, but like I cannot imagine that this author will be able to resist her character having a power of some kind. Although, honestly, people's powers are almost an afterthought in this book. Like, that was supposed to be, like, a thing. And that was definitely in the blurb, that it was a thing, that it mattered that she didn't have powers. But, like, people almost never even use their powers. You could forget that these people have powers. That was a problem I was having with a previous book as well, where, like, the characters had magic, but, like, it felt so forgotten most of the time. Oh, it was in the Silly Dragon book, where it's like, yeah, they have magic, but they don't use it, except for, like, in very specific circumstances. If I had magic, I'd use it, like, every day. But we will see. Otherwise, we have got it pretty full already, this bingo card. So Kai tells the guard who was hassling her that if he wants to keep his job and his head, he better leave her alone right now. And the guard, like, releases her like she's on fire. But because it's Kai and Peyton sees no red flags ever in this man, as the guard starts to go past Kai, he, like, grabs him and slams him into a wall and is like, I lied. And Peyton just keeps going outside. She's like, good. Excellent. I'm not gonna say I watched this, but I'm just gonna keep going outside because that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to go outside. So, like, her, like, refusal, just blatant refusal to notice a single red flag about this man. Don't worry, right now his psychoticness is in her favor, and therefore it will always be. He could never have any reason to never completely love her with all of his heart and soul. But she goes outside and it immediately starts to rain, and of course she loves the rain and dancing in the rain because she is a quirky girl, TM. But also, like, there's no indication of how rare rain is here. Like, yes, she's enjoying it, but is it because they live on the edge of a desert and therefore rain is very sparing, like they don't get a lot of rain? Or is she just quirky and loves rain? We don't know what this means. She calls herself hysterical again because she's laughing hysterically this time. So, like, less of a negative connotation, but again, women authors using the word hysterical, which is a pretty loaded word, to describe their female characters having emotions. I know that is a huge nitpick, but it's something to think about. Like, word choice does matter. I know you're never going to catch everything. It's impossible to catch everything, but this author has done it twice now that I've noticed, describing her female main characters' emotions as hysterical. She's not described any of the men as hysterical, as far as I've clocked. Maybe she has and I just didn't notice it, but yeah, just something to think about, the historical significance in English of the word hysterical. Of course, Kai joins her out there, and his shirt, he's not wearing a suit coat, so his white button-down shirt is immediately drenched and has gone fully see-through, of course. Apparently, at some point, and maybe I just missed it because I'm skimming or something, although I didn't think I was, but the balcony, I guess, has stairs going down into the garden, and she, I guess, at some point went down there because he bends down to pick a flower from beside the stairs, and he was, like, kneeling in the dirt. So I'm like, okay, well, they're clearly down in the garden now, but I don't remember her ever actually going down the stairs. I wasn't even actually aware that there were stairs until now. I do feel like this author got a list somewhere, maybe TV tropes, of popular love scene scenarios and decided that she would take it as a personal challenge to include every single one in the same book. She didn't even leave herself any for the next book. Although we haven't had we kind of have had the only one bed trope because she went to his bed in the nightmare scene, but it's not quite the same. So if they do travel in the next book, there'll probably only be one bed.
By the way, if you would like to see some romance tropes subverted, you might enjoy my book, Adventurer Mage, where I intentionally subvert some romance tropes because our two lead characters are aromantic and asexual. So if you'd like to see the only one bed trope, but done with aromantic asexuals, this might be the book for you. Check it out. See how I do it. It's not big and overblown and in your face. It's just there. See if you can clock any other common romance tropes that I subvert in the pages of Adventurer Mage.
So we have more lusting after each other. We have more back and forth, the same banter that we've had a bazillion times. But finally, Kai here is like, I want to seal the deal. Less than 100 pages of book to go, by the way. He's like, I want to seal the deal. I want us to be exclusive. Say you'll be mine. Of course, he can't do that without a lengthy and over-the-top love confession. Like, he wouldn't just say, hey, do you want to, be my girlfriend? He has to just gush and gush about how, like, she has destroyed his life, turned his whole world upside down. She's so magical and wonderful, and he could never love anyone ever because she's here, and yeah. You know the things, but he's just gonna go like that. She's gonna let him go like that for a while, probably. So she says no, but he's like, I don't believe you. And then he pulls her to him, and he's just so unbelievably sexy. And she says, I can't do this anymore. I can't not give into the temptation that is him. I am suddenly unable to think of a single reason why I'm fighting this. Well, you haven't come up with very good reasons before now, so this doesn't surprise me. Like, the fact that he would kill you if he knew what you were, has only truly come up with any kind of depth of thought once in this entire book. But now we have, oh my goodness, the thrilling payoff for him writing on his hand that he can touch her when he's sober. Because he's like, you said I could touch you when I'm sober. Haha, sober now. Wow, thank goodness for that. The author so skillfully, so artfully setting up that payoff like that. Again, that sarcasm. They still haven't properly kissed. This scene is drawing out and drawing out. Like, who's enjoying this? Someone, clearly. Not me, though. But I think they might finally kiss in the next chapter. I have to pee, so I might come back for the next chapter since it's pretty short. with Kai, I just want to get this book over with. Honestly, legitimately, I cannot wait to get this book over with. I don't know, like, the last trial is probably going to be like a chapter long, that, or it's going to be the cliffhanger, and we're not even going to get the last trial because that's how much the author cares about that scenario. But yeah, I mean, nothing is going to be resolved. Like, we know that. We know what type of book this is. 0 things are going to be resolved. And I hate that. You know I hate that. I'm mad. I'm pissed. Because then you didn't write a book. You wrote a beginning of a book. But you made it 500 pages long. All right. I have to pee. I'll be right back. All right. I'm going to read at least one more chapter. It's fairly short. It's chapter 53 with Kai. And we can get the kiss from his point of view. I assume they kiss. Or are we still dragging the reader along with like promises of affection from these two, besides just nonstop banter and lusting after each other? We'll find out. Oh my god, more paragraphs of just thinking about how amazing she is and how much he loves her. We fucking get it.
Stop! He's already dead.
I know that this is just a wish fulfillment book. That all the girlies are supposed to pretend that they are Peyton, and they are just basking in listening to this man's repetitive thoughts about how irresistible he finds them, about how he would burn the world for them, just every little detail about how much he loves them. The girlies will never get sick of it because they are pretending it's about them. Like, I get wish fulfillment. I get it. I write wish fulfillment books too. My wish fulfillment is usually that I have friends and don't have to have a 9-to-5. That's my wish fulfillment. But I get it. But like, even at this point, don't you find it repetitive? Even if this is your wish fulfillment, it's the same over and over. Couldn't the author find a more interesting way to say these things? Oh my god, we are being kiss-blocked again. They're about to kiss, but the author is beleaguering it and telling us that there are literal sparks flying between them and blah, blah, blah. And then, they're interrupted. Like, why can these characters not just at least kiss? I get it if you don't want to have a sex scene in book 1. Okay, but let them at least kiss. Like, you can have them kiss multiple times in the same book, and those kisses can be pretty cool. I know you know how to do things multiple times, because these characters will not stop having the exact same banter conversations over and over again. Again, just all of the red flags from Kai, every single red flag. So the guard who came to get him is like, your dad wants to talk to you, it's urgent. But then we have a little time jump and it says, it was not, in fact, urgent. I am, in fact, seriously, I don't know why we need in fact twice there, seriously contemplating carving out the Imperial's tongue because of it. Even though I know he's not to blame, I need to take my anger out on someone, and that can't exactly be my father. Great! Oh, God, that is such a red flag, but sure, we love this man. His dad, of course, called him away to be like, hey, stop seeing that girl. We're doing Romeo and Juliet, remember? Kai is about to lose his shit on his father for the first time, not because his father has been torturing him for years, not because his father is making him go out and kill people, because Kai actually enjoys that. Again, giant red flags from this man. But because his dad was like, you can't see Peyton anymore. You shouldn't. She's just a plaything. Blah, 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 insulting things about Peyton. And this is where Kai is going to lose it on his abusive, evil father. But Kit, fortunately, shows up to save the day. And this book is a lot of telling, which usually means fewer words, but in this case, this author finds a way to be telling instead of showing and using all the words. Like, in case we haven't gathered this, we feel the need to say of Kit, he's always craved the approval, the attention from the king. Kit loves to be loved, and he even feels the lack of it when it comes from our father, despite the far better relationship they have. Yeah, we know. So yeah, it just ends with him being like, LOL, I'm not going to listen to my dad. I'm going to go find my girlfriend. And I think the next chapter at least begins the next trial, because I saw a few words like the bowl, which I still can't get over that that's what their arena is called. It makes me think they're going to go bowling a little bit. So I saw that word and I'm like, okay, are we starting the final trial? Less than 100 pages. Like, how many pages have we got left? Like, we're on page 429, so basically 430. And we still haven't gotten to the final trial. It's either going to be 1 chapter long, or maybe 2, so we have it from both of their points of view, or it's going to just be part of the cliffhanger, where it's going to be like, oh no, are they both going to eat the poison berries or some shit? Like, I don't know, it's going to be awful no matter what. So I hope that you will continue to accompany me on this journey. But now I'm going to take a break and read some more later. I'll see ya. Hello and welcome to an extremely hot and sweaty day. It is the end of August, and August has decided, nope, you get summer still. It is so humid. It is ungodly humid. So if you see like what appears to be sweat dripping off of me, it is sweat and probably just literal like water from the air. We don't have AC, so I've got my cold beverage here with ice. I'm doing some work, just like transferring some files, just doing some video housekeeping today, and I was like, let me just sit down and read another chapter and get me closer to the end and my fantastic cosplay that I'm sure is going to be like the best you've ever seen. So let's go. Chapter 54 with Kai. We are in the bowl, aka the arena. I'm probably just going to call it the arena from now on because calling it the bowl is silly. Oh, they're not being like knocked unconscious and woke up for this final one. They're just walking to the trial like normal people. I don't know why it was so important that in the previous ones they be unconscious and wake up. That really did nothing because they were immediately told what to do. There was a note with a bad poem that always just told them what to do. So why did they have to be knocked out and just wake up? Why couldn't they just be given instructions and sent out into the woods or put out into specific spots in the woods? That left me no time to even speak to Payden, let alone think of her, before I was being silently escorted out of the castle. Saying let alone think of her makes it seem like thinking of her is the time-consuming thing. I think it should be reversed. I didn't have time to think of Payden, let alone talk to her. Because that's the time-consuming thing. You can think of her in like less than a second. We have a maze. Of course it's a hedge maze. This makes no sense. It's a hedge maze inside of an arena.
Earlier today, Professor Moody placed the Triwizard Cup deep within the maze.
Also, apparently the king's box, where, the king will be witnessing these trials, is down on the ground, which doesn't make any sense because the king won't be able to see. He won't be able, what's the point? You want to raise that up so that the king can, see what's going on. Sure, maybe for occasional trials, it's better to have, a ground view, but right now, all he's going to see is hedge. Okay, it is the Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire thing, and the hedge moves around magically. I'm assuming that somebody with plant powers, who's probably called a grower, is off to the side. Oh, I was wrong. They're called blooms. Blooms. And there's multiple of them. Apparently, a hedge maze like this needs multiple blooms to operate. So if people are operating this maze, these blooms, quote unquote, are operating this maze, that means that they can pick who they want to win. And they can influence the maze to allow their favorite champion to win. I feel like nobody's thought of that. So the rules are that if you've won previous trials, you get to go in first. So what an amazing reward. And you have to reach the center of the maze and kill whoever is waiting for you there. So I betcha it's going to be Kai's going to get there and it's going to be an illusion of Payden, or it'll just be Payden who's been magically transported to be there, so he has to kill her. Some variation of that. He says that the person that they will encounter is a criminal who deserves to die, so that none of these people can feel guilty about killing whoever's in the middle of the maze. Why would that stop Kai? He kills people all the time. Why would that stop any of these people? They all seem really chill about murder, except for Payden sometimes. Kai, of course, runs through his Rolodex of people he knows are in the dungeons and who he's probably going to be killing today because, again, he's a psychopath. Okay, it took me a hot minute to understand what this gesture is. They supposedly have this cute gesture between them where they flick each other's noses. So romantic. But I didn't know, he sees her and he wants to give her some kind of gesture, And he says, I raise my hand and flick nothing but the air in front of me as I hold her gaze. I had to read that 3 times to understand that it meant he was mimicking flicking her nose, which must look really weird to the crowd watching. And she flicks the air back and I'm just what are we doing? I would say it's so corny, but like corny can be enjoyable sometimes, and this is not that. That was the end of that chapter, and I think I'm just going to go on. Yeah, the next chapter with Peyton is pretty short too. We're probably going to be hurtling through a bunch of really short a bunch of really short back and forth chapters. That one's just a page long, so that'll be fun. I'm just going to keep going here. Chapter 55, back with Peyton. Peyton's like, today might be my last day, and it's like, if the trials had actually been like more brutal seeming, sure. Like, yeah, I guess technically people died. Not anybody we care about, and not in any meaningful ways.
Well, maybe somebody got hurt, but nobody we knew.
So Peyton immediately starts running. She has the thought, I just need to survive this. Okay, good. But then she's like running through the maze, and I'm like, don't go anywhere. Just like hunker down somewhere. And yeah, I know the maze is always changing, so you might have to change your spot. But you're not trying to get to the middle. You're trying to play the world's greatest game of hide and seek. If your only goal, which you stated to us who are in your head, if your goal is to survive, then you hide. Also, she does not know how to do mazes, because, like, she's running through this maze, left, right, and it's like, okay, but why? Why are you running firstly? But let's say she does want to get to the middle. That's actually her goal. You take every left, or every right. You decide which, but you take all of those turns, and you'll eventually get where you're going. She's supposed to be very intelligent, by the way. Like, she's supposed to have Sherlock Holmes level of deduction skills, but she can't figure out to take every left. I pick up my pace, despite my slight panting. I fall into a routine of random guessing, retracing my steps, and cursing. Lots and lots of cursing. Yeah, this is this girl with such high intelligence, sure. Occasionally, Peyton remembers to be claustrophobic. I can't remember why she's claustrophobic, but sometimes she is. And when the maze starts to close in, she says, this is my nightmare. And I was like, what, being crushed by hedges? But no, it's because sometimes she's claustrophobic. So she gets her foot snagged as the branches close in. Apparently there are giant thorns that we didn't mention until now. But two paths close together. She dives clear, but her foot gets snagged and is like horribly shredded. And I'm like, what is she wearing? Because, like, I'm picturing her barefoot right now, honestly, the way she's talking about her foot having been shredded. But she might have been wearing her just fantasy girl boots TM. Finally, we do hear that she has a shredded boot to go with her shredded foot. Yes, we are using the same descriptions for everything. She doesn't have her dagger for some reason. They didn't let her have it for this. I don't know why. You don't need to tell us who is creating the hedge maze because you told us in the last chapter. Like, yes, I know that is this character figuring it out, but it is not important. The only things that just keep on trucking. Like, your reader knows because you told us that it's magic and the blooms are creating this maze. You're wasting words again. This author loves to waste words, telling us that it is Blooms doing it through Peyton's point of view. She is, however, being just bested by, checks notes, a hedge. Yes, I understand that they have thorns and they like clash together around her foot, but she's just trying to pull her foot out. Like, get in there and start breaking off thorns and branches, girl. Try anything else besides just yanking on your mangled foot. And again, it's a hedge.
Wow, Dad, how did you do that?
It's a flower.
She's wearing, again, a tank top that conveniently she can just rip a strip off of as a bandage. And we keep hearing how mangled her foot is, but it actually sounds like it's just scratched up really bad. Honestly, if I was her, after having been injured, like in these trials, I would start wearing more than just a tank top and pants. Just so I had free bandages, honestly. So she had to get rid of her boot, so she's got one barefoot, but it's not as bad as she seems to have thought because she is able to walk on it. So she kept telling us her foot was shredded and mangled, and I'm like imagining like thorns going all the way through her foot and she's just ripping them out and everything like that. But no, it's just her foot got scratched up really bad. She does mention though that she's just like fully wearing a midriff shirt now. It's very Kirk-esque.
So you managed to get your shirt off.
Oh, apparently she decided to ditch her other boot. I don't know where she lost the other boot. But she says the lack of both shoes, so were they boots or shoes, unclear. But I guess she took them both off. She's still heading towards the center. And I'm like, girl, you said at the beginning of this to us in your own head, I just have to survive. You can't keep a secret goal from yourself that actually you want to win We are in first person point of view. Authors, stop doing this. Stop having the characters state their goal in their own mind. This is what I want. And then just doing something else and never explaining why they're doing something else. Like it's not like she changed her mind. It's not like she was like, I should want to survive, but actually I want to win. She just said, all I have to do is survive. End of. And yet here she is trying to win for some reason. But then the maze just seems to be closing in on her again and again and again. So she just gives up and is like, oh, I guess I'm gonna die. I'll see you soon, Father. This is the hero that we have longed to follow. She's just like, welp, guess I'll die then, even though previously she was very, very determined to survive. It takes nothing to switch this girl over into, welp, guess I'll die mode. But now the paths are all just narrower. So when she stops cowering, she realizes that the path is still there. They're just narrower. And as she goes through the narrow paths, once again, she thinks about just how like cunning the king is for his like evil thorn maze that gets narrower as they go. And I'm like, wow, yes, just an evil Moriarty over here. And then she gets found by somebody bad. We don't know who, but it's a familiar voice. But it says, I was worried I wasn't going to get to kill you before the trials ended, and I cannot express to you how much I don't care who it is. But I think I'm going to be done for now. I just wanted to get a couple of chapters in today, just to say that I did, get us one step closer to that finish line, and I'll see you for the next chapter.
I'm David Pumpkins, man!
Okay, yeah, and David Pumpkins is...
his own thing!
You know who else is their own thing? My patrons, like
Rhea, Christina, Megan, Lady Cragen, Jose,
Marshy, Semidark, GK, Scout, K, Annika, Jen, Gay Tutter, Constantina, Locknanga, SB Boots, Martha Baggins, July, Bird Anonymous, Sarah, Cat, 78 kilograms of shade, Veda, Roma, Pansing Pony, Haley, Sam, Kira, Kohikaro, Mooney, Puttamancer, Kirsten, Bear, Jojo Bookish, Robin, Ursula, Caitlin, Jessica, KJ Lafone, Mufflier, Celia, Alyssa, Deborah, Afra, Melissa, Swamp Goblin Waifu, Sophia, Marween, Kit, Hidden Glade, Light Julie, Belle, Patrick, and Sophie, Callison, Shelby, Zaire, Jesper, Rennie, Scribbling Cat, Savvy, Jenny, Amanda, and Lisa. Keep being your own thing, everybody.
So recently we've gotten a bunch of new patrons, and I'm super thrilled to have some newbies on board. And as usual, I offered to do a shout out for them at the end of a video and anything that they wanted shouted out. So I have a couple, and I'll let you know if there are more. Marshy wanted to shout out the 372 pages We'll Never Get Back podcast, which sounds interesting, and I need to check it out in further detail.
To do this!